time to put the hair up first. I'm going to take out these perches so I can hose those down, scrape them up a bit over by the hose. So one thing I keep in the coop is this is like a windshield scraper cleaner. So I use it so when I need to scrape off poopies in the run or the coop. So now I'm going to spray the walls so they can kind of start getting soft. So this is just a mixture that I use even in the house. It's water, vinegar, and alcohol. So I'm just gonna go around. Another tool that I keep in the coop is this long scooper rake. I use it to like mix up the bedding, and it's also used in the run for sifting the poop and debris out. We have these reusable nesting pads. I tried some that were more like the natural fibers. I did not like those. They just tore them up, made a huge mess. And then like you would have to rebuy them and stuff. So I like these because you can hose them down, which I'll leave these in for right now because they're kind of, you know, wanting to nest. But I'll either hose them down or I'll see if I have clean ones to just switch out. And I usually do use a mask because chickens are very dusty. However, I'm not going to use it today so that I can talk to you about some stuff, but normally I do use this. So another thing that we did to make cleaning the coop out, specifically like when we do deep cleans, to make it easier is there's this 2x4 that is removable. And so it helps to keep the bedding in and not like spill out every time I open the door, but easy to like remove when I want to just push everything into the wheelbarrow. That'll be better. It's wider. So let's talk about why I don't like straw. So we just had our first full winter with them, with the chickens being outside. The very first winter was when they were first hatched and they were inside and then in the garage. So this was the first winter where they were actually outside in their coop. And we live in zone 6B, so we have some pretty cold winters and very strong winds and a fair amount of snow. And I did a lot of research as I was getting chickens and planning. And I kept hearing about the deep litter method. And the idea is to have the bottom be pretty deep of bedding. And you stir it and you add to it throughout the winter. And it's supposed to help keep them warm as the poop decomposes and lets off some heat. And then also a thicker bedding just by itself will provide more insulation. I still think that can be helpful, but I did not like it in my particular climate. We have a very wet winter. And so having the deep litter, staying around with all the poop accumulating, just stayed way too wet. Became very strong smelling with ammonia, despite me, adding different things to help with coop odor, adding more bedding. I even changed the bedding out mid-winter because it was getting so bad. And so I just am not a fan of particularly the leaving the poop part. The reason I don't like straw is because you can't really sift out the poop. Straw is basically good for leaving it, stirring it, and then you got to take it all out. Like you can't just collect the poop and leave the rest behind. But you can do that with hemp. And that's what I used during the warm months. I used hemp and a small version of something like this. It's actually just cat litter scooper. So this. And literally you just shake and you can just collect the poop and the bedding gets left behind. So I like that a lot better. The straw, I'm not a fan of. So my plan for next winter will be using the hemp, probably a deep layer of hemp, deeper than I do during the summer, and still coming and doing the poop sifting. And another thing I did this winter was when I noticed that despite the deep litter method, the floor was just too cold. I mean, like the poop was like frozen and stuff. So I added these foam mats that I had, like children's mats, like the play mats. I had those already. And so I just put them on the floor. I had to cut some of them, and just to have a little bit of extra insulation. Ow, ow, ow. That hurt. Ow. I also keep some jars of, just so like I don't have to run all the way to the garage. I'd like to get, in theory, like a little shed thing, just a small cabinet, but then it's going to take up garden space, so probably not. I keep some oyster shell rocks and then some ground up eggshells, so I can like top off their little dishes in there easier, and it just stays tucked away. Sometimes I'll even leave like a box of gardening tools in here during like gardening season. I'll put a box under there just so I don't have to like run for something so silly, you know. I'd be smarter about it, I guess. I used to keep this rake in the garage too. Not anymore. Nope, this stuff stays in the coop, and the ladies just have to work around it. Right, Goldie? I'm not gonna be going back and forth for all that. No ma'am. We also ran a underground extension cord to be able to have electricity up here because of the winter. We need to have water that doesn't freeze, have electricity for fans, or in the winter a lamp, which I'm going to talk about this in another video. Subscribe, because I'm going to talk about whether you should add a light to your coop or not, and what I discovered my first winter. So I'm still new to chickens, you know. It's kind of trial and error. We just finished the first winter of them being outside, and so I learned a few things the hard way. They want to lay everywhere except their nesting boxes. Nobody wants to use this nesting box. This is also removable, like the other one. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me. Hello? So for the walls, we used whatever we could find. When we had like styrofoam coolers that like my medicine comes in, so that, you know, they're like stuff we don't really need, you know, anything to create insulation. And then the walls are like a flexible plastic. I think that's for like bath, like showers, like shower walls. So it wasn't too expensive, and then it's also like easy to cut and piece together. Just to be clear, I do not do this every time like I clean the coop. This is like a twice a year thing, like before and after winter type of thing. Normally it's just kind of like scooping the poop, and I don't intend to get this perfect. All right, so we got the mat back in. I don't think I would do that again. Bother like cleaning it. It's a pain in the butt to take out, put back together. So I think next time I'll probably just blow as best as I can and call it a day, because that was, I don't think, worth my time. So I need to put the roosting bars back, the brackets, and then I'm going to put the bedding. You stay in here, Barbara. The chickens have been very upset about having their coop all in disarray. I got this hemp from a different place than I did before. I'm not sure if I'll like it as much. I don't know. It, for one, it's moist in there. And see how this is like a lot smaller? So when you sift, like you know, don't take that big of a scoop. When you sift, those pieces will like fall out, and then you are left with just the poopies. They're not wasting bedding. You can't do that with straw. So that's why I like the hemp. These curtains, they're still pretty dirty, but got some of the dust off. Let's hang up your curtains, Barbara. Hello, Karen. Just like, hello, Noonan. I'm losing my mind here. So cute. Wow, that hurts the knees.